The shocking truth: 7 signs you're battling spiritual warfare at 3 a.m. Find out now. In the dead of night, when shadows dance with secrets, something sinister stirs. People across the country awaken, soaked in chilling sweat, hearts hammering in their chests. It's not just a dream, it's an invasion from beyond. The clock strikes 3 a.m., and with it, a veil lifts. You're not alone. Nerves prick and tingle, the hairs on your neck stand at attention. Eyewitness accounts describe whispers in the dark, chilling laughter echoing down empty hallways. Riveting tales swirl around. Some claim to have seen malevolent figures standing silently at the foot of their beds, flickers of dark shapes merging with the night itself. Such incidents blur the lines between terror and reality. But wait, there's more. Those who felt the heavy weight of dread draped across them in the wee hours share a chilling detail: the unnatural stillness. It's as if the whole world holds its breath, waiting. That eerie silence is broken only by thumping noises or flickering lights, leaving souls rattled and minds racing. And sleep? Forget about it. Eyes wide open, heart racing, they wait. What if the darkness isn't just a backdrop for sleep, but a doorway to something far more sinister? As stories circulate, others begin to notice strange occurrences in their own lives. Objects moved, pets acting peculiar, whispers that almost sound like their names. Was it all in their heads, or were they under siege, battling forces they couldn't name? The questions escalate. Were they alone in their fight? Or were others neighbors, friends, even family committed to a silent struggle against dark forces? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As our heroes confront the night, their grips on reality tighten. They face the choice, to turn away or dive into the darkness. One startling notion emerges: could the fight be tied to something greater? Something sleeping just beneath the surface of their everyday lives? Is there an answer waiting to shake them awake, or does the clock silently tick, preparing for the hour when secrets will break free? What lies ahead remains hidden in the dark, an invitation to unravel the truth or be consumed by it. The room was thick with fear as Lisa sat up in her bed, the shadows stretching across the walls. Her breath came in shallow gasps, and her heart raced like a drumbeat stabbing through the silence. She could feel it, that suffocating weight of force pressing down on her chest, urging her to look into the darkness. Suddenly, a low whisper curled around her name like smoke. Liisa. The sound squeaked from somewhere far off, echoing along the barren hallway. It was not her imagination. She could feel the air shift in the room around her. Each flickering shadow transformed into a threat, every creak of the old house a summons from the unknown. She swung her legs off the bed, hesitating as her feet hit the cold floor. A wave of icy dread washed over her. Who else felt this? Did her husband, Tom, understand how the invisible tendrils probed at the edges of their world? She glanced toward the darkened doorway, gripping the blanket tightly and warring with thoughts urging her to flee. With hesitation flickering in her mind, she decided to investigate. Each step towards the doorway was a stride deeper into the uncanny. Shadows coiled around her, clinging like wet fog. She reached the hall, just silence, yet the atmosphere vibrated with a heavy unease, whispering secrets she wasn't ready to hear. "Tom. Are you awake?" Her voice came out small, uncertain, swallowed by the oppressive stillness. No answer. More than the unsettling quiet, what sent a ripple of terror through her was the absence of light from the bathroom, a flickering that had always been there, like a glow from the other side. Frantic, she moved towards the bathroom. Flick, that was nothing but darkness, pure and thick. Just then, the television suddenly blared to life behind her. Startled, she whipped around, the sound amplifying the unease. The screen flickered with static, and an image formed. An old woman with sunken eyes stared back at her, lips moving, mouthing words muffled by static. Lisa's breath caught. She couldn't decipher the warning sketched on that ghastly face, expressionless, yet swarming with dread. Tom burst into the room, his eyes wide. "What the hell is going on?" he shouted, his voice slicing through the air, but the fear in his expression told Lisa something was wrong, far more wrong than they realized. I don't know," she stammered, pointing toward the screen, the words still tumbling quietly from the old woman's lips. "Shut it off!" Tom yelled, rushing forward to the remote. With a click, the television slid back into darkness, but something lingered, a faint echo, a racing pulse. Then, a sudden crash echoed from the kitchen, snapping their attention. "What was that?" Tom's voice quivered, barely a whisper. I think it came from the pantry," Lisa said, heart racing, instinct screaming at her not to go. She felt a compulsion, though an electric pull, to uncover the truth lurking there. They exchanged a glance, the kind that teetered between unspoken fears and unshed tears of terror. Together, they crept toward the kitchen, each creak of the floorboards echoing like a warning bell of danger ahead. Without warning, a shadow darted past the pantry door, vanishing like smoke. Lisa froze, her mind reeling. What was happening? What were they fighting against? Outside, the wind howled, but in that moment, they stood down the path to their unknown hell. "Stay close," Tom whispered, determination flickering in his eyes. But as they rounded the corner, Lisa felt the cold grip of dread wrap tighter around her heart. What had they awakened? Was the line between dark and light already broken, and would they be caught in the crossfire? Just then, the lights flickered one last time, and everything plunged into shadows. In the thick veil of darkness, a familiar voice whispered chillingly from within the pantry, "Was it too late to turn back?" The panic slithered through Lisa's veins like ice water. Tom's breath hitched next to her, a whispered prayer on his lips. Slowly, they stepped toward the pantry, the door looming like a gaping mouth ready to swallow them whole. The gentle rustling from within grew more pronounced, punctuated by the unmistakable sound of something or someone scratching the inner wall. It was a sound that clawed at reason, one that begged them to run. But Lisa couldn't shake the feeling that whatever was behind that door had a claim on them, an unresolved bond that churned her stomach. "Do you hear that?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Tom nodded, sweat glistening on his forehead. "We have to find out what's going on." He stepped closer, courage battling fear as he reached for the handle. Lisa bit her lip, watching his hand tremble. "Tom, wait. We should call the police first." The words felt meaningless as they hung in the air, swallowed by the dread that nestled in her gut. "Calling them won't help us now," he replied, determination echoing in his voice, but uncertainty flickered in his eyes. With a deep breath, he yanked the pantry door open. The scent of must filled the air, sharp and suffocating. Inside, the shelves were covered in a thin layer of dust, cans lined up like soldiers, but the darkness seemed deeper, swirling with shadows that danced like malevolent spirits. For a moment, Lisa saw nothing. Then there it was again, the soft scrapping noise like nails against wood. Before she could utter another word, a figure surged forward from the shadows. "Tom!" she screamed, skittering backward, the cold tiles stinging her feet. A girl, no older than 10, emerged from the darkness, her wild hair tangled in knots, eyes wide and filled with terror. "Help me!" she gasped, gasping between frantic breaths. "They're coming!" Lisa's heart skipped. "Who is coming?" But before the girl could answer, the lights flickered briefly and then extinguished completely. Plunged into an abyss, panic erupted. Lisa grasped Tom's arm, feeling the harsh outline of his muscles. "What the hell is happening?" she shouted, fear clenching her throat. "Stay calm." Tom bellowed, but his voice betrayed his own rising panic. "Get to the front door." The girl's eyes darted around as if she could see what lurked in the dark. You can't go outside. They'll get you. You have to help me. A little girl just appeared out of nowhere. Lisa's mind raced. Had they truly walked into something unimaginable? Something drawn from the dark corners of fear itself? Tom squeezed her hand tighter, anchoring her to reality. They needed to think fast. Let us get her out. She knows something. But as they moved to grab her arm, the atmosphere shifted. The air thickened like syrup, heavy with a malevolence that pressed down on them. The pantry door slammed shut with a resounding crash that reverberated through the house, shaking the very foundation. Help me! Came the girl's voice again, a fragile thread piercing through Lisa's deepening terror. Get back! Tom shouted, but it was too late. Shadows swirled, and cold tendrils slithered around their ankles, pulling them toward an unknown destiny. In that suffocating moment, Lisa understood that they weren't just facing a little girl. They were confronting everything they had ever feared. And just when she thought they had no escape, the girl whispered something chilling. You have to remember what? The fire of panic ignited inside Lisa as her chest tightened. What were they meant to remember? And as the darkness deepened, a horror unfolded right in front of them, a figure shifting, watching, waiting. What had they stumbled upon? Would they find the answers or only more questions? The darkness felt alive and suffocating. And outside, the wind howled like a banshee, echoing the dread that consumed them. Then came a low, haunting growl from the shadows, chilling Lisa to her core. Would they uncover the truth before it consumed them? The air screamed with tension as Lisa's heart raced, each beat echoing in her ears like a war drum. The pantry's darkness was more than just empty space, it felt sentient, teeming with malice, as if waiting for the right moment to pounce. Tom, what do we do? Lisa's voice trembled, but she clawed at her fear, searching for clarity amid chaos. Tom's face was a mask of determination and horror. We have to find a way out of here. He turned to the girl, who stood frozen, terror etched into her young features. What do you mean they're coming? She shivered, her voice barely above a whisper. They're always watching, between the shadows, waiting to take you. Lisa felt the hairs on her neck rise at the girl's words. Take us? Why? What do they want? But the girl merely shook her head, her eyes brimming with unshed tears. You have to remember before it's too late. A collective tremor swept through the darkness, and Lisa squeezed Tom's hand tighter, panic bubbling within her. The pantry felt smaller, more claustrophobic, as the shadows pulsed around them. The growl returned, lower this time, rising from the depths of the blackness. Let us get out now. Tom urged as darkness thickened around them. They pressed against the pantry door, but it wouldn't budge. It was as if the very walls were alive, constricting. How do we remember? Lisa shouted, desperation flooding her voice. What are we supposed to remember? The girl leaned closer, her breath a ghostly whisper. Your dreams, they're locked away. You have to face them. That's the only way. Suddenly, a wave of icy wind swept through the pantry, making Lisa shudder. It felt as though breath was stolen from her lungs. Through the shadows, a figure loomed larger, its presence overwhelming, a distorted silhouette with glowing eyes that pierced the miasma of fear. Tom's grip faltered. We can't stay here. With a surge of instinct, Lisa turned and banged on the pantry door, shouting, Someone! Help us! But the walls swallowed her cries, even as she felt the grip of the shadows tighten. Don't! The girl screamed, panic breaking through her fear. If you call for help, they'll hear. What? Who will hear? Lisa stumbled back, confusion clouding her already frazzled mind. A sudden crash echoed from outside, followed by frantic footsteps. Adrenaline flooded Lisa, and she raced against time. We can't just sit here. We have to get out. Frantic scratching echoed from the door. It sounded like more than just a memory. Listen to me. The shadows are a part of you too. The girl's eyes flickered with a strange urgency. Face them or lose everything. The growl deepened, resonating with malice. Each syllable gripped Lisa's gut like a vice. What do you mean? How do we face them? But the girl's explanation was cut short as the shadows surged, lashing out like angry serpents, wrapping around Tom's legs. He gasped, pulling Lisa backward as the pressure mounted. The pantry seemed to throb a heartbeat. Louder and louder. And just when they thought they were lost, Tom turned to the girl. "What's your name?" "Grace," she uttered, her voice breaking. The name struck Lisa like a lightning bolt, unearthing something buried deep within. "Grace, I know you." Suddenly, the pantry door split open, a sliver of blinding light cutting through the dark, revealing the kitchen beyond. Just as they prepared to leap into the light, a chilling voice rasped from the shadows, "You shouldn't have remembered." Tom and Lisa exchanged terrified glances. With a final surge of energy, they lunged towards the light, but darkness surged, claws outstretched, hungry for their fear. Would they make it out before the shadows pulled them back into the abyss? As the light enveloped them, a scream echoed. No, it was a wail of despair that sent shivers down Lisa's spine. A truth lay buried, and now it surged to the surface, demanding to be faced. But what if remembering was the worst thing they could do? The moment they crossed into the light, Lisa felt a rush of heat, washing over her like a warm blanket. But it didn't last long. The kitchen was a warped reflection of her memories, the walls painted in shades of gray, the air thick with unease. Shadows lingered in the corners, whispering secrets she couldn't quite grasp. "Where are we?" Lisa gasped, blinking against the brightness. The flickering fluorescent lights above buzzed ominously, casting long shadows that danced like phantoms on the walls. Tom looked around, his face pale. I think we're in my parents' kitchen." "No. This can't be right," Lisa exclaimed, dread creeping back in. "It feels wrong. It's like everything is alive." Grace stood at the threshold between the pantry and the kitchen, her small figure shivering. "It's all a part of it," she whispered. "You have to confront the past." "Confront what?" Lisa blurted, her frustration rising. Everything felt like an endless loop of confusion. "The shadows want you to forget," Grace said, steadying her breath. "But the memories are what hold the key. You can't run anymore." A heavy silence settled in, punctuated only by the distant sound of something scratching behind the pantry door. Lisa's pulse quickened. "What if we don't remember?" Tom asked, eyes wide, grasping for hope. "What if facing it only makes things worse?" A shudder coursed through Lisa. The notion lingered like a threat. "We can't stay here. Not with them lurking." Just then, the kitchen door slammed shut with a deafening thud. Lisa flinched, her heart racing as the walls seemed to close in. The shadows grew bolder, reaching toward them like dark, clawed hands, curling and writhing. "Grace, don't!" Lisa shouted, instinctively pushing her friend behind her. But Grace took a step forward, defiant. "I'm not afraid. You shouldn't be either." Grace's voice was strong, echoing with an authority that contrasted sharply with Lisa's growing despair. "Remember." Images flooded Lisa's mind, flashes of laughter, tears, and faces from a time she tried to bury. A family gathering. A birthday. Moments that felt achingly real yet distant. Her breath hitched. Tom's gaze flickered between them, uncertainty shadowing his features. "What are we supposed to remember, Grace?" "The truth," she replied, unwavering. "The truth of what happened before the shadows took you." With each word, the shadows roiled like thunderclouds. A chill wrapped around Lisa's heart. She suddenly understood she was running from something greater than the shadows. "Get back!" Lisa screamed, pushing Tom as the dark tendrils lunged at them. They recoiled, scrambling for space. "No!" Grace cried, tears streaming down her cheeks. "If you run, you will lose everything." Lisa hesitated, feeling the weight of Grace's words. "What do you mean?" she asked, breathless. You don't just have to face the shadows. You must remember why they came. The growl grew louder, reverberating through the kitchen, vibrating in the very marrow of her bones. Remember, Grace urged. Before it's too late. Suddenly, the floor erupted beneath them, splintering wood and swirling shadows mixed in chaos. Lisa grappled for balance as pieces of the past lit up in her mind, each one more terrifying than the last. As she caught a glimpse of a flickering image, a memory long buried, a realization hit her like a tidal wave. "Tom!" she shouted, panic rising in her voice. "It's not just the shadows, it's..." But the connection shattered as darkness surged, smothering her voice. With no way to retreat, they teetered on the edge of oblivion. The light flickered, and in that moment, Lisa knew they had to choose. Would they embrace the truth buried in darkness, or would they be consumed? The shadows whispered their names, and as Lisa's heart quickened in fear, she realized the decision would mark the difference between life and despair. And in that agonizing moment, she heard the words that would change everything: "You can't escape your own reality." Could this confrontation finally break their chains, or would facing the darkness be the surrender they feared the most? The ground shook violently as the shadows roared, their angry whispers morphing into screams that echoed in Lisa's ears. The kitchen warped around them, the familiar morphing into the grotesque. She stumbled back, feeling the weight of the memories clawing their way up from the depths of her mind, dragging her down with them. "Hold on." Tom grabbed her hand, his grip firm yet trembling. "We can't let them take us." But what if they already had? Lisa felt the shadows weaving through her thoughts. Images burst forth like a montage from a long-forgotten flicker show: a birthday cake, the scent of candles, a fight, a name she couldn't remember. It felt like every unaddressed hurt pulled her deeper down. What if the shadows were right? "Look out!" Grace yelled, her voice cutting through the chaos. Lisa turned just as a dark tendril lunged towards her. It wrapped around her ankle, pulling her downward with icy fingers. She screamed, fear turning into raw panic, and desperation clawed at her throat. Tom yanked her away just in time, but his face was drenched with dread. "We need to make a stand," he shouted, voice cracking. "Where's your strength? You can't let them win." But what if she didn't want to fight anymore? The dark mass pulsed, its grip loosening for a mere split second. In that fleeting moment, Lisa met Grace's determined gaze. "You have to remember. Fight it. Fight for each other." The girl's faith surged like a lighthouse beam cutting through the mist. "I can't," Lisa gasped, struggling to find her footing as darkness snaked around her limbs. "I'm scared." A shadow flared closer, its whisper a raspy invitation to surrender. "Join us, relive your fears. It's so much easier this way." "Shut up!" Lisa screamed, shaking her head as tears streamed down her cheeks. "I want to become part of you." "Lisa, think of the ones we lost," Grace urged, her voice still steady, despite the chaos. "Think of who we need to stay strong for. It's not just us anymore." The shadows recoiled a little, their hold loosening further as the memories flooded in, laughter that echoed through family gatherings, the warmth of love, the heartbreak of lost faces she hadn't dared to picture for years, now rushing back. Each memory fanned the flames of her spirit. "Listen to her," Tom shouted over the cacophony. "They want you to be weak. Gather that strength." Lisa took a shaky breath. "I remember," she whispered, the words feeling both terrifying and liberating. The warmth of old joy trickled through the cold, wrapping around her heart. "I remember family, hope, and love." With that, a blinding light erupted from her chest, illuminating the kitchen. The shadows shrieked in torment, their dark forms flickering like dying embers. Lisa felt the surge of power within her, a force of all the memories that gave her strength. "Together!" she yelled, her voice melding with Grace and Tom's. The trio joined hands tight, grounding one another against the fear. The burst of light pushed against the shadows, distorting them, bending their forms. But just as they seemed to gain the upper hand, a deeper shadow lunged from the pantry, its voice booming, "You will never escape." Lisa's heart seized. The very air thickened, and now they faced something even darker, an entity formed from their deepest fears. "Ready or not," it hissed, "it's time to face your reality." The kitchen shifted again, and as the air crackled with tension, Lisa realized this fight was only beginning. Would this be their final stand, or would they find the path through the dark that led back to the light? Suddenly, the walls began to close in, squeezing them with mounting pressure. "Tom!" she cried, her voice a ragged whisper. "What do we do now?" And as the shadows danced menacingly closer, looming larger than life, the question gnawed at her. Had they truly found their strength, or was the darkness merely biding its time to strike? The time to confront their fate was now. The darkness gathered itself, shifting and twisting until it formed a massive figure, taller and darker than anything Lisa had ever seen. Its eyes glowed like embers, a fierce testament to the horrors it embodied. It towered over them, an executioner waiting for the final verdict. "Face me," it sneered, "face your reality." Fear gripped Lisa's heart. She could feel Tom's hand tighten around hers, his warmth anchoring her in the tempest of emotions swirling around them. But instead of focusing on the shadow, she looked into the eyes of her friends. The truth surged anew, mixing with the terror, igniting a flicker of defiance deep within her. "We've fought for so long, together," Lisa shouted, her voice echoing back to her in the oppressive silence. "You think we'll cower when the darkness throws its worst at us?" The entity's laughter was a chilling sound, like ice cracking underfoot. "You know nothing of fear, little girl. You think memories can fight me? I am the sum of all your doubts, your regrets, your failures. Give in, and I will spare you the pain." "Never." Grace's voice was like steel. "We will not back down. Remember what you lose by surrendering." With every word they spoke, the shadows lurked closer, feeding on the uncertainty that hung thick in the air. But Lisa could feel it, the light that flickered in her chest was growing brighter. The memories of laughter and love piled on top of one another, fueling her resolve. The walls creaked and groaned as they continued to press in, their time wearing thin. "We have to push back," she gasped. "Now." Tom nodded, determination cutting through his fear, and they tightened their grip. "Let us show it what we're made of." As one, they shouted, a unified force against the encroaching despair. "We are more than our fears. We choose to fight. We choose hope." The luminescence engulfed them once again, radiating and washing over the walls like a tidal wave of light. The shadow howled, writhing in agony as the brilliance dulled its power, but it was enough. As the creature recoiled, it turned to Lisa with a malevolent grin, an ugly mocking contorted on its shadowy face. "You think you have power? I am not just your darkness. I am the darkness of every soul that has ever suffered. You're fighting a losing battle." Lisa's stomach churned as a wave of dread washed over her. She had known suffering, yes, and the weight of pain rested heavily on her shoulders. If this darkness held the echoes of every pain ever felt, would they stand a chance? "Don't listen to him," Tom cried, his voice breaking through her spiral of despair. "We've lost people, but we keep them alive in our hearts. It's love that wins. Love is all that we have left." Grace added fiercely, her eyes alive with a burning spirit. With renewed strength, Lisa focused on the memories they had summoned, the warmth of family embraces, the laughter around a dinner table, the comfort of friendship. They swirled around her like a protective barrier against the chilling void. Together, they pushed forward. The brilliant light intensified, illuminating the kitchen past every corner. The very walls began to tremble under their shared resolve, brightening with an otherworldly glow, pushing back against the weighty shadows. "Now," Lisa shouted, adrenaline rushing through her. "Confront our fears together." As their voices melded into a singular roar of defiance, the shadows twisted violently. A terrible shriek erupted from the dark figure, as the tendrils recoiled, frantically searching for something, anything, someone to drag down with them. The darkness began to crack, fissures of light cutting through the opaque gloom. The world expanded, space stretching beyond the kitchen, reaching for something unimagined. But just as the shadows started to fragment, they heard a whisper, a haunting invitation from beyond the void. Your fight won't end here. You will know pain, and you will suffer, and I will find you again. As the shadows surged one last time, Lisa felt the darkness clenching around her heart, doubt creeping in, forming icy tendrils of fear anew. The fight is not over, she realized, and the entity was right. This confrontation was not the end, it was merely a prologue to something greater. Stay strong, Grace yelled, just before the shadows burst into a vortex around them, engulfing everything in blackness. What is this? Lisa screamed. What is happening? And just like that, they were thrust into a void, adrift in uncertain space. In the distance, an ominous echo loomed, leaving her with a terrifying question: could they escape this nightmare, or had they unknowingly stepped into a far darker realm than before? As the darkness closed in, she struggled to maintain her grasp on hope. Was this the start of another battle, or their ultimate downfall? The darkness wrapped around them like a thick fog, smothering any trace of light. Lisa felt the weight of it pressing against her chest, squeezing the breath from her lungs. She gasped, but no sound emerged. The void swallowed everything whole. Panic surged within her. Tom! She reached out blindly, her fingers trembling as they clawed through the emptiness. She felt a warm hand clasp around hers, grounding her amidst the chaos. Stay close, Tom whispered, his voice strong but wavering slightly. We can't let it take us. Echoes of laughter, cries, and whispers flickered in the abyss, ghostly remnants of their previous confrontation. What is happening? Grace's voice trembled. Are we dead? No. Lisa exclaimed, realizing that this darkness was a trick, a mirage intended to shake their resolve. We're alive. We have to remember that. Just then, a chilling breeze swept through the void, wrapping itself around them like a sinister embrace. The whisper returned, echoing in their minds like a broken record: you will never escape your pain, it is your essence. The word struck a deep chord, as if the entity knew their innermost struggles and fears. Doubts crept in, gnawing at their unity. Lisa could feel her heart racing like a drum in her ears, drowning out her reason. No. She shook her head, trying to dispel the creeping fog. Focus. She urged her friends. What do we still have? What binds us? With a sudden clarity, Grace exclaimed, memories. Our experiences, they're ours to keep. They're powerful. Yes. Tom chimed in, his hands tightening around Lisa's. Love is what joined us. Lisa closed her eyes, letting herself be overwhelmed by the memories, the laughter, the warmth of their friendships, the quiet moments of support. Each flicker of light brought hope, as if shining stars scattered in the oppressive darkness. Together. Lisa commanded, raising her voice above the rising winds of despair. We share this light. It's our armor against the shadows. As they channeled their strength, the void responded. The darkness around them began to shudder, shrinking as their memories burst into brilliant light. The shadows screeched, a cacophony of rage and fear, but they pressed on, pulling each other closer, doubt and despair replaced by fierce determination. But even as they shone brighter, Lisa could sense the dark figure lurking just beyond the edge of their illumination. It festered like a wounded animal, plotting its next strike in the depths of the void. She felt a pulse of dread swell within her. It's not over. Suddenly, the darkness warped, spiraling violently. A wave of shadow crashed over them, splintering their light momentarily. The friends stumbled, their connection wavering, gritting her teeth against the pain. Lisa fought to maintain her grip on hope. She had to act quickly. We've dealt with our fears before. We've faced them together. In unison, their voices rose, echoing fiercely against the storm. We are not defined by our pain. We control the story. But the entity fed off their uncertainty. Your reality is nothing. You are just puppets on strings. The shriek resonated, laced with an eerie authority that shook her resolve to its core. No. You won't control us. Lisa yelled defiantly, her heart racing even as the specter loomed larger. The memories surged anew, filling them with vibrant colors, flashes of joy, laughter, and resilience. Keep pushing. Tom shouted above the tumult, his words cutting through the haze. We rise. We will not crumble. Yet, as they surged forward, the darkness coiled tighter, threatening to snuff them out once more. With a last-ditch effort, Lisa reached deep, grasping the threads of love and friendship that knit them together. It exploded outward, an unimaginable burst of brilliance, but in that moment of luminescence, beneath the brilliance, a flicker of doubt whispered back, what if this is merely a veil masking something far worse? Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled, the shadows trembling with hidden recognition. Lisa's heart raced. What lay on the other side of this battle? What truths about themselves would they have to face next? As the brilliance surged, they stood on the precipice, about to break free or be crushed under the weight of the darkness once more. The final confrontation was looming closer than ever. The brilliance enveloped them like a protective shield, but just as quickly, cracks began to spiderweb through their light. Lisa's heart thundered, raw fear pulsing through her veins. Don't give in. She shouted, her voice barely cutting through the chaos. She struggled to maintain her focus. But the darkness countered, snapping and raving. Your memories are weak. They're nothing but fleeting illusions, merely reflections of your failures. Tom flinched, struggling to hold their fragile barrier intact. No, that's not true. He yelled, his eyes wide, desperation clinging to his voice. There our strength. In the fray, Grace began to tremble. What if it's right? She whispered, vulnerability pouring from her like water filling a glass. What if we can't push through this? No. Lisa interjected, locking her eyes on hers. What we see is not what we are. What we are is stronger than we know. With that renewed hope flooding through her, she squeezed Tom's hand tighter. They would face this together, they had no choice. Memories surged around, the moments of friendship and laughter ignited in their minds like blazing stars in the night, yet, the shadows reacted. They twisted and writhed, a swirling mass threatening to engulf them whole again. You think you're free? Look around. This light is nothing, a trick, a fading dream that will leave you in darkness forever. The ground heaved beneath them. Lisa swallowed, tasting fear biting at her throat. What if we've just awakened in a nightmare we can't escape? She thought, her mind racing with doubt. An electric pulse surged through her. They were more than their fear. They had made it this far, hadn't they? The laughter, the heartbreaking moments, the quiet support, they filled her with undeniable courage. Remember when we were lost in the woods? Lisa shouted to her friends, pulling them back to shared experiences. When we thought we'd never find our way back. But we did. We always do. Grace's expression shifted, a flicker of renewed resolve igniting in her eyes. You're right. She exclaimed, her voice stronger. We've overcome worse. As if feeding off their newfound resolve, the shadows roared back, thrashing wildly. Then let us see how strong you really are. They hissed, coiling around their light, constricting. Lisa felt panic rise again, a tempest raging in her chest. We have to drive it back. We have to fight for our truth. We won't let it win. Fight! Tom roared, rallying them for one last push. We can't stop now. Hearts united in a fierce heartbeat, they summoned every scrap of warmth and laughter they had shared. They stormed forward into the abyss, their shared memories erupting with renewed intensity. Each echo of love became a weapon against the encroaching shadows, illuminating the near void around them. But the entity, relentless, shrieked in fury. You are nothing. Nothing. I will reduce you to ash. Lisa's eyes widened as the darkness twisted into a dreadful visage, a figure with hollow eyes, its very presence stinging her skin like frostbite. It radiated dread, a grotesque mockery of all they feared. Don't falter. Grace shouted, her voice rising above the cacophony. We control the narrative. With hearts blazing like wildfire, they launched forward, but suddenly the dark figure lunged, a frenzy of shadows reaching out, grasping at their limbs. Lisa gasped, an icy grip wrapping around her ankle. A scream built in her throat, but she wouldn't allow it. Suddenly, darkness shattered, revealing a fractured reality beneath, a portal teeming with unknowns, a path that split into two, their fear and their truth both beckoning. Step lightly. What you find may change everything, the entity warned, voice dripping with deceit, and with that, they stood at the edge. One step could lead to liberation or deeper despair. What awaited them beyond the void? Only one thing was clear, their next move could either forge a new beginning or seal their fates forever. The air throbbed with an electric intensity as Lisa, Tom, and Grace stood at that precipice, trapped between their darkest fears and the faint glimmer of hope that pooled deep within them. The shadows writhed at their feet, hissing and swirling like angry snakes, but the trio stood firm, their hearts pounding in unison as one thought coursed through them: they had to take the next step together. Remember, Lisa's voice rang out with a strength that surprised even her. We aren't alone. We carry our memories and our love. They are our power. Her words seemed to break through the clutches of the shadows, igniting a flicker of light within them that couldn't be extinguished. Tom gripped her hand, determination etching his features. This is where we turn the tide. Together, we defy these shadows. He stepped forward, pulling Lisa and Grace along, their combined resolve pushing back against the encroaching darkness. The entity lurched, thrashing violently as it snarled, You think you can resist me? I know your fears better than you do. Shadows surged over them, fierce and cloying, but they stood tall, fierce against the tide. No. Grace's voice erupted, a war cry infused with the strength she had drawn from Lisa's own resolve. We remember joy. We remember love. And that is worth fighting for. As she spoke, glimmers from the past flooded their minds in waves: family gatherings, shared laughter, relentless support through life's harshest storms. The warmth of those memories blossomed within, stirring brighter flames that began to push against the encroaching darkness. With one final cry, they took a leap into the abyss, heart and soul united. Every ounce of light within them surged outward like a beacon, piercing through the shadows and illuminating the path ahead. The brilliance swirled, expelling the dark tendrils that lunged toward them. The entity shrieked, a cacophony of rage and despair, as the radiance expanded, a cleansing wave washing over the broken remnants of fear. Stop! It screamed, anger splintering its shadowy form. You are weak. You cannot break free. Watch us, Lisa shouted back, her voice unwavering. We are not afraid of you. We choose our truth over your lies. As their combined force shone brighter, the entity writhed and twisted, but it was no match for the love and memories binding together. Light erupted around them, scattering the shadows, until finally, a resonance echoed through the void and a crack appeared, tearing through the darkness. In a single heartbeat, they were drawn through that crack, into another realm glowing with warmth and possibility. They stumbled out onto solid ground, standing in a field awash with golden sunlight. The air felt different, light and refreshing. Everything tasted new, like freedom itself. Did we make it? Tom asked, breathless, scanning the tranquil horizon before them where vibrant flowers danced in the gentle breeze. Lisa turned, and a sense of peace washed over her. I think so, she whispered, glancing to Grace, who stood radiantly smiling, her presence now a comforting glow rather than a reminder of pain. It's a new beginning, Grace replied softly, her eyes sparkling with the optimism of the life ahead. As they stood together, the chains that the shadows had forged dissolved like mist, no longer binding their hearts and minds. Inwardly, they each swore never to forget their journey into the dark. They absorbed the light, warm rays tangling with the sweet shade of their memories, both troublesome and triumphant. And in that moment, they understood. The shadows could always return, lurking in corners of their minds, but they now held the power to confront them together, to call upon each other for strength. "Let us go," Lisa said, her voice full of certainty as she took hold of Tom's hand and nodded at Grace. "We have a life to live filled with light and love." With their heads held high, they stepped forward into the unknown, ready to face whatever the future might hold, armed with the knowledge that together, they were stronger than any darkness. As the sun dipped below the horizon, marking the end of a chapter, they realized that it was also a new beginning. They did not only survive the shadows, they emerged from them stronger, bonded in a way that would last a lifetime. Now the world awaited. If you've enjoyed this incredible conclusion, you need to subscribe now. Don't wait even one more second to hit that red button below so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep this amazing journey alive. And flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about this conclusion. I can't wait to hear from every single one of you. Lastly, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful ending. Your support is what keeps this channel thriving and making magic happen.